Welcome back into another PGA DFS video. Going to begin to the picks and preview here for the Racket Mortgage Classic. Now, I did say that right. Going to be creating two separate videos going forward. I kind of used last week as a test try to see if you guys would appreciate doing like a separate core plays video. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. This video is going to be the much more in-depth video. It's going to be the data dump pretty much. You know, the data-backed decisions. You guys will go into kind of what makes up the core plays. And then I'll be releasing the core plays video about 2 hours or so after this video is posted, and then on Tuesdays I'll be putting out the fluff content with the fades, sleepers, and value picks as well. So just kind of a different change in the scheduled content, but it's going to be the same stuff. Just going to be creating 3 videos a week instead of 2, just splitting it up so all the videos are not as long. That way you guys can get the information that you need when you guys want it. But let's get into the recap of last week. Last week was a fun week as a whole. We were on our boy Harris English, Mr. 9 to 5, got it done. He was a top 8 pick in the 9 to 5 player pool. He was also top 5 staff hit in the 9 to 5 model, which the 9 to 5 model keeps coming through with winners and results. So just talking over the whole player pool, I did have a lot of players in the player pool as a whole. There's like 38 players in the player pool. Ended up having 8 players make or miss the cut. So about 80% of the player pool made the cut. But the very interesting thing is that 7 of the 8 players that missed the cut by 1 stroke. They missed the cut on the number. So kind of an interesting week there. It's kind of crazy how much of a difference Abraham Answer making the cut changes the whole slate. The guy went from almost missing the cut to getting a top 5 finish. If he doesn't make the cut, the whole slate is different. And that's exactly why I actually made him a sleeper pick in my sleepers, fades, and values videos. That Abraham Answer did have a chance to go out and potentially win. It's just the recent form wasn't exactly there with him, missing the cut the European Tour and then his last PGA Tour event. So it's kind of strange to see him be as chalky as it was, but obviously it ended up working out for people. But just looking at the recap, 29% of the player pool ended up having top 20 finishes. 12% ended up with top 5 finishes. Also, just looking it over, only 1 value play missed the cut. I was on like 6 value plays, so definitely an interesting week. Core plays did fine. Kevin Strickland ended up missing the cut though, which really hurt. It really kind of capped the upside of a week that I could have personally. But Casey was an easy pick. Brian Harmon was an easy pick. You put in maybe Harris English in there, like I said, top 10 in the 9-5 player pool. You probably had a good week as a whole. I know personally for me, it was pretty easy to get 5 out of 6 across the cut line as a whole. Now looking forward into the Rocket Mortgage Classic. This one is going to be kind of a fun one. So we've only seen it the last 2 years. 2 years ago, it was Nate Lashley, and I believe Nate Lashley was a Monday qualifier in that one, and he was a great staff hit. I think he was like top 20 in the field that week. He was like an easy play, and he actually went out and won. It was just one of those rare things where it kind of came all together for him and a lot of people that ended up rostering him in PGA DFS. I remember him being a lot more higher owned than you would think for a guy that got added to the field on Monday. And then Bryson went out and won last year. So the average winning score has been 24 under par. So this is obviously one of those tournaments in which you have to go out and score, which I'm happy for that. It's been such a long time since we've had a tournament in which you got to focus on scoring. And that's kind of the stretch of golf that we're in. We're not going to be looking at bogey avoidance anymore. We're going to start to look at birdie or better percentage. So just looking at the cut line, we can see that as well. The cut line has been -5 or 5 under par the last 2 years. So, which are the first 2 years. So I do like to see that. So we know what key stats kind of to look at. This is going to be much more of a smaller sample size. But we see good drive percentage, much more of a driving distance, although it's kind of crazy that Bryson went out and won, given the fact that, he's the longest off the tee. But we do see good drive percentage over driving distance has shown to be much more of a key stat. Strokes gained putting, that's going to definitely be a key stat. Ball striking as well. We see ball striking really come up. And then birdie or better percentage as well. Those are going to be the 4 key stats that you should be looking at this week. Some of the players that pop up really well in that are going to be Bryson DeChambeau, Webb Simpson. Webb Simpson always pops up. Sungjae Im's such a hit or miss pick. Some other hit or miss guys that we'll see are going to be like Jason Kokrak, Emiliano Grillo as well. Those guys are good staff hits. Going into course history. Now, obviously, we haven't had this course a lot. We've seen it twice now. Okay, so with that, I ended up putting in some comp course history, which I hate to do, but I did factor in the course history a little bit more. So the first 2 years course history, that's going to be H1 and H2. H3 and H4 on the cheat sheet that you guys will see, that is going to be the Safeway Open, and then it's going to be the Sanderson Farms. So those are just kind of very similar courses. They're Robert Trent Jones and Donald Ross courses. So we kind of get a feel that they're similar courses, and that's kind of why I'm using them. And then looking at recent form, Charlie Hoffman, guy's been making 13 straight cuts in a row. Bryson continues to play well, 11 straight cuts in a row. Hideki has made 6 straight cuts in a row. Patrick Reed finally playing well again, 3 straight made cuts for him. Hank Lebioda casually popping up there with like 3 top 20 finishes over his last 5 starts. Webb, even coming off of the missed cut, is popping up a little bit. And then Joaquin Niemann kind of back in his recent form after just having a one-off missed cut. But enough with the preview. Let's get into the picks for this week. All right, guys, we're going to get started off here with the high tier price point plays. As always, I like to highlight the top 4 picks in each price point range, which honestly this week it was harder to do because normally I like to highlight at least a couple of 9K plays. I don't like to kind of just state the obvious. And that's kind of what we have. Bryson, Webb, Hideki, and Joaquin Niemann. Those are kind of the clear-cut plays in this price point range. Now, yes, Patrick Reed's there looking like a decent play. We have Will Zalatoris. You could chase if you want to. Sanjay I don't mind as well. But as a whole, these are the top 4 picks. One, because we want to really be chasing safety this week, but we also obviously want that upside. But if we're bringing in a little bit more of a made cut percentage, rather than chasing a top 10 finish, I think that's the right way to go because this is going to be a difficult week. 4 out of 6 will probably be the norm in lineups, unless a lot of the chalk hits, and there could be some chalk, but this is a very like GPP type of week. So let's just start off with Bryson DeChambeau. He is the class of the field. He's the defending champ. That's his only course history here. But he's the defending champ. So the only worry with him staff-it wise is that he ranks 147th in good drive percentage, which we know why. Bryson just freaking grips it and rips it. Every other stat that we're looking at is going to be T53 or better, but he also ranks top 10 or better in par 4 scoring, effective scoring, which is that 9 of 5 proprietary stat, which just kind of combines stats that are predictive in terms of making the cut. Top 5 in that, birdie or better percentage, top 5 in that, and greens gained 3rd in that. So really, if he can just be a little bit more accurate, that's the thing. He could probably clip down a little bit, hit his 3-wood a little bit more, and he's going to be fine. I could easily see Bryson going out and winning this week. Ranks top 3 or better in all the key metrics this week. Obviously, he's going to be the best pick in the model. Has a 91% chance to make the cut. He's the only player this week that has over a 90% chance to make the cut. Now moving down to Webb Simpson. I do like Webb Simpson as well as a pick. He had a top 10 finish here last year. That was his only start. The worry with Webb is not his stat fit. We know he's a good stat fit. Top 20 or better in all the stats that we're looking at this week. Actually, he's the best stat fit in the field. Second best player ranked in the model. We worry about the U.S. Open. Now, that was just like a really random bad week. I don't know. He just really couldn't figure out the greens, and that had a freaking spiraling effect into the rest of his game. He was almost 3 strokes lost putting. He missed a lot of 5-footers at the U.S. Open. I don't expect that. I expect him to be able to bounce back fine this week. This is a much better course for him. He should be able to go and play well. There is a little bit of hesitation there. If you don't want to play him, then we got Hideki Matsuyama right here, 10.4, $200 cheaper. I think he's a safer play, and I don't want to say he has more upside, but you can pretty much lock in a top 25 finish out of him. We see his course history at 21st and a 13th place finish. We see his recent form. He's made 6 straight cuts in a row, a 26th place finish, a 62nd, a 23rd, a 39th, a first, 30th, and a 42nd place finish. So he's been very consistent. Given the fact that this is going to be a little bit lower caliber of a field, I do expect him to get that top 25 finish. With Hideki, the worry is the strokes gained putting, but we kind of always know that. Ranks 176th in that. Every other stat that we're looking at is going to be top 50 or better. Top 11 stat fit, ranks top 4 in the model this week. And then rounding out the top 4 picks in the model, Joaquin Niemann is going to be the 3rd best pick in the model. He had a 5th place finish here in 2019. With Joaquin Niemann, the only worry with him is going to be not really anything. He's been playing some great golf. He's the 4th best staff in the field. We're looking at his stats. They're pretty much all top 25 or better, except for a few stats that are 32nd and one stat, good drive percentage, that's 85th. So yeah, really not worried about Joaquin Niemann. 80% chance to make the cut. 3rd best play in the model. We knew that he was eventually going to miss a cut at the Memorial. He's been able to rebound pretty well. He does seem like a solid kind of cash play. If you guys want to go that route, 9.8, you can easily do that. But now we're going to move down into the mid-tier price point range. This is a very difficult price point range because there's a lot of hit or miss options. And it kind of scares me a little bit that people are probably going to make some cash decisions in this price point range. All right, so now we're into the mid-tier price point range. I do really like Charlie Hoffman. I think he is kind of the quote-unquote safe pick that you just have to play. I know that he is eventually going to miss the cut here shortly, okay? He really had a great stretch of golf, and now he's kind of just been making the cut. 57th, and then a 30th place last week. We'll take the 30th place last week. We'll take that any day of the week. But this is kind of what I was talking about, is that we are kind of just forced into plays just due to their price point. That to me is going to be Charlie Hoffman this week. Ranks best in recent form, obviously because he has made 13 straight cuts in a row. And he did have those top finishes prior to that, top 20 finishes prior to his kind of bad recent starts. I mean, he still made the cut, so we're not too worried about that. Looking at his course history, missed the cut in his one attempt here at this course. Comp course wise, he has a 6th and a 56th place finish. Take that for what it's worth. Overall, Stafford wise, he does rank out well. He is kind of poor in par 4 scoring, which as a whole, there are going to be some par 5s that he can capitalize on. Not too worried about that. Good drive percentage, though, 105th in that. That's a little bit worrisome, but effective scoring, 20th in that. Birdie or better percentage, 21st in that. Effective greens gained, 22nd in that. So overall, I do like Charlie Hoffman as a pick at this price point. I like the fact that he's not a high tier price point play. 72% chance to make the cut. That's really the best we're going to get going forward in this video. Looking at Kevin Kisner. So Kevin Kisner, yeah, we're going to be chasing some recent form, if you will, and we're also going to be chasing the fact that he has good course history. So he's finished 3rd and 46th here in the past 2 years. Obviously, we like that. That's great. He's made 3 out of his last 4 cuts on tour. He had a 5th place finish at the Travelers Championship. So hopefully, we're really just hoping that he's coming into some really good form. Not a horrible stat fit as well. Par 4 scoring, top 20 in that. Strokes gained putting, 14 in that. So, if he can just pick up the rest of the game like he did last week, he's going to be fine. 30th best pick in the model. We're chasing the recent form there. That's why it doesn't rank out as well. Emiliano Grillo and Cameron Tringale. So some of the strange things that happened last week is that people were really getting on hit or miss options, kind of like Emiliano Grillo. I get it. If he goes out and plays well, he's probably going to get a top 15 finish. I would say the same thing this week. Has strong course history and comp course history with 3 top 40 finishes. We like that. Last week was a course in which you need to be a good putter and you need to be strong in par 4 scoring. We do have that this week as well, and maybe that's why he missed the cut, but he's a guy that can really go low any week. It's just a matter of him getting his putter going, and if he gets that going this week, he's going to be strong, because look at the rest of the key stats this week. 3rd best in ball striking, 6th in greens gained, good drive percentage, 11th in that, birdie or better percentage, 31st in that, and effective scoring, 28th in that. So everything else we like about Emiliano Grillo. His recent form has just been really hit or miss, guys. 2 missed cuts, 8th, 38th, 14th, missed cut, 2nd, 6th. So it's just been all over the place with Emiliano Grillo. He's a fine pick at 8.2. Obviously, it's just a little bit too risky for some people. Definitely not a cash play, but someone you can definitely get away with playing in like 15% of your GPP builds. And I would say the same thing for someone like Cameron Tringale. Cameron Tringale's finished 30th and 5th over his last 2 starts at this course. The thing about Cameron Tringale is that he typically does play better in the Midwest. Is something that I've noticed is kind of a weird thing. Maybe it's just the point in the season, or maybe it's just more comfortable on these type of courses, these kind of Parkland style courses, if you will, tree line courses, if you will. He's going to be a top 10 stat fit, good course history, fine recent form, missed a cut on the number last week. If he makes the cut, probably going to be a top 30 finish, makes top 12 in the model. Really do not mind Cameron Tringale at 8.1. It does make sense. All right, so now moving down to low tier price point plays. I think that this is where a majority of builds are going to be made. People are going to be trying to really get 2 or 3 of those really elite plays into their builds, and then chasing 1 or 2 players in this price point range. And I think that's the right lineup path to go. I would say some of these players are better than the options that we have in that mid-tier price point range, starting with someone like Doc Redman. Doc Redman I really do like as a pick. Look at his course history: 21st and 2nd place finish. Comp course history wise, 28th and 3rd place finish. So obviously he's comfortable on these style of courses. Overall, he's not the best stat fit. We do worry about that. Only ranks top 25, but still not bad. Still top 30. And then we look at his recent form. 5 straight made cuts in a row. Yeah, 61st place finish last week after having a good stretch of golf in the tournament. That's not the best. Obviously, he kind of crumbled there, but 2nd place finish before that. Had a 9th place finish only 5 tournaments ago as well. So 5 straight made cuts, and in that stretch, he has 2 top 10 finishes. I like that a lot, especially at a course that suits his game. Technically speaking, Doc Redman's checking all the boxes, top 30 in all the key metrics that we're looking at. Ranks top 80 in the model, 62% chance to make the cut though. Really want that to sit in because we got a guy checking all the boxes, top 10 in the model, only a 62% chance to make the cut. That really sums up the week that we have. 7.9, 62% chance to make the cut, and we're feeling good about it. Very interesting week as a whole with that. And then we look at someone like Brendan Todd. I don't mind as a pick as well. Good course for him. Made the cut here last year. Top 18 stat fit. 4th in strokes gained putting, good drive percentage, top 10 in that, par 4 scoring, top 21 in that. Overall, top 20 in the model. He's made 3 out of his last 4 cuts on tour. We like to see that. Prior to the missed cut, the PGA Championship, had made 3 straight cuts in a row as well. So, overall, I do think he's going to make the cut. 61% chance to make the cut, top 20 in the model. Don't mind him as a pick. 7.9 does feel a little bit too much to pay up for him, though. Then we move down to Chez Reavie. So really the only thing I got about Chez Reavie is the fact that he has been in some decent recent form. 3 straight made cuts in a row. He really found something in his game at the Palmetto Championship. He was able to make he was able to qualify for the U.S. Open earlier that week. Played well at the Palmetto Championship. So maybe he found something at the U.S. Open qualifier. Then decided to play. Made the cut at the U.S. Open, which not a good course for him that week specifically. Then top 25 finish last week at the Travelers Championship. He has a miscut and made cut here. Has played okay, on the comp courses as well. Overall, not a bad pick. More or less just trusting my gut here with Chez Reavie at 7.6. I think he's going to be well worth the risk. Then we look at someone like Troy Money Merritt. All right, our boy, 4 straight made cuts in a row. And we look at his recent form. Been great. He has 3 top 10 finishes over his last 7 starts. We'd love to see that. He's a guy that has played the Midwest pretty well as well. He's from the Midwest. Top 10 finish here last year. So obviously we're chasing that top 10 finish and we're chasing that somewhat, pretty good recent form. He's one of those guys where I don't really get why he hasn't been higher owned, given the fact that people really have been enjoying chasing, those top 10 finishes. We get that with Troy Merritt here. Again, top 10 finish recently, and then, or at this course last year, and then some top 10 finish recently. It's just kind of a strange thing with him. All right, so now moving down into the low tier price point range, I do just want to point out Nate Lashley, who we had a little bit of fun in the Discord chat with him, kind of talking about Nate Lashley last week. I'm like, you know what? He's not the play this week, but if he does make the cut, he's someone that you could possibly end up on next week because he's a defending champ. And I remember last year he had a putt to make the cut, and he was in horrible recent form heading into that tournament, and he just missed it. It was like a one that I think might have missed by like 2 inches. So he almost made the cut here last year as well. 2 straight made cuts in a row. I'm fine chasing that. If you want to chase that, I'm perfectly fine with it. It's something that does make sense to me. But we got someone like Satoshi Kodaira, who, yes, he's missed 2 straight cuts, or he's missed a cut here, and then also missed a cut at one of the comp courses that we're looking at. But he is a top 30 staff at this week. He also has made 4 straight cuts in a row. Going back to like Troy Merritt, now Kodaira hasn't had as much upside, but 36th, 19th, 13th, and 11th, a little bit more consistency with his top end finishes there for Kodaira. I don't really get the price difference between those two specifically, but good price point there for Kodaira. 50% chance to make the cut. Still not great. Then we get into someone like Henrik Norlander here. Henrik Norlander finished top 15 here last year. Also has a top 10 finish at one of the comp courses that we're looking at. The thing with him is that this is a very course-specific outcome for him. I think that's why he made the cut last week as well. A par 4 scoring course. Kind of struggled, though, because he couldn't make some putts. He's ranked 190th in that. If he cleans that up, he's going to play much better. Top 20 in par 4 scoring, good drive percentage, ball striking, and then top 40 in greens gained. 3 out of the last 4 cuts made, though. So, he does seem to be coming into some good recent form. I'm fine. If you guys want to chase a result with Henrik Norlander, I get it. Talking about chasing a result, we don't have that much data on Austin here. He just made the cut at the Travelers Championship. Good. Made cut at the Travelers Championship. You can get, a rookie player with some potential upside at 6.7. I don't mind that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But kind of the clear-cut value play this week is going to be Adam Schenk. Ranks top 15 in the model. We look at the comp course history and the course history. 4 straight made cuts. At this course specifically, a 30th and a 42nd place finish. It's going to be a top 15 stat fit. Obviously not elite, but effective golf, if you will. Good drive percentage, 20th. Greens gain, 19th. Strokes gain putting could be much better. Hoping he does have a much better week putting. Overall, recent form hasn't been horrible. Let's just look it over. Miscut at the Travelers, 68th place finish at the Palmetto, 65th place finish at the Charles Schwab. Byron Nelson, 34th, which is a much more lower scoring event. Miscut at the Wells Fargo, 18th at the Valspar, 20th at the RBC Heritage. So there has been some good golf in there for Adam Schenk. This just seems like a weird price point for him. He should have been someone that, you know, maybe was like a 7K price point play. So hopefully we can take advantage of that this week. All right, but that is all I have for you guys for the picks and previews video. Remember, I'm going to be coming up with a separate core plays video. Definitely make sure to check that out. If you guys want to get the fades, sleepers, shoulder shrug plays, and then the value picks as well, definitely make sure to check out that video on Tuesday morning as well. If you guys are interested in joining 9 to 5 Nation, your one-stop shop in PGA DFS, the best value in DFS, click the link in the description below. It's only $10 a month. I do that for you so that you guys can get, you know, the best advice without having to overpay. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and as always, let's keep cashing.